So about a week ago, I released a video theorizing about a theory that Tanis says, hypothesizing if the vault monsters were even vault monsters to begin with. In that video, I spent a lot of time looking at the serpent on Necrotafeo and drawing connections to Nereid and how the vaults really are changing those in them into monsters. And to be honest, that already in and of itself felt like a fairly solid theory likely to be true. I would recommend checking out that video if you haven't, as this one is going to play off of that one even more, because now, with that idea implanted in my head, only more details have arisen giving weight to this idea. That the vaults are radioactive and the vault monsters are just byproducts, and boy do things line up to the point where it feels like I haven't been paying attention whatsoever. Things really kicked off for me when I was analyzing the Ruiner in the Bounty of Blood DLC. Nothing directly from the Ruiner's boss fight, but rather the blueprints of its egg, found at the end of Ash Peak Falls once you beat Cormosh, and later in the sheriff's office. When you take a close look at the details, information is there. A lot of it has been redacted by Jacobs, keeping information still hidden, but one of the key details still present is the fact that it's using the terms radioactive. The egg, the Ruiner itself, or even the vault. The researchers looking at this thing noted how you should avoid prolonged exposure to it because it's radioactive. The thing about the Ruiner specifically is that this is all about an egg, meaning it's an organism. It's a living thing. Plants, animals, whatever you want, they're not born radioactive. It's a thing they're exposed to. If the vault transformed whatever was inside it to the Ruiner, or whatever laid the eggs, then of course it, and perhaps its offspring, would give off radiation. But okay, this whole idea about the vault monsters being radioactive, there's nothing there, right? We have this one analysis saying how you shouldn't have prolonged exposure to it. The town of Vestige has been living next to this egg for who knows how long, and nobody seems to have developed any side effects. So a theory's just a theory, right? Well, the thing about the Ruiner's egg is that it was just an egg. Sure, it may have given off some radiation, but the thing that was really radioactive, the monster, was still contained. If only there were an example of those who lived next to a vault monster uncontained. Well, much like Doc Brown discovering how to time travel, my eyes lit up, my jaw dropped, and everything just made so much sense now. One of the biggest questions fans had about Guns, Love, and Tentacles was about the town of Cursehaven. Every single resident of the town was inflicted with some sort of curse, and fans, myself included, didn't have any clue why. A neat shtick, a funny concept, was there really even an answer? Yes. If the vault monsters are radioactive, the reason the entire town of Cursehaven is cursed is because they live in direct vicinity on, under, or around Githian. They are suffering from a special radiation poisoning. And if you need further proof, everything you need is in the DLC itself. Xylorgos isn't a cursed planet. Tribes such as Aistas who live on the outskirts of the mountains are not victim to Githian's radiation. But the thing about radiation is that it doesn't only affect fauna, it also affects the flora. Within the Dustbound archives, the history of the planet is documented. While I would love to open up every single book and see each detail in full glory, this is a game and I'm not allowed to do that. But on the monitors where history is given, you see how Dahl researchers noticed Githian's corpse was having an effect on the plants. It mutated them, just like how it's mutating the humans to develop curses. And this is shown through Burton Briggs. In his backstory and early echoes, you see how he used to live in the Cankerwoods with his daughter, a reasonable distance away from Githian's corpse. But slowly, at some point in time, he began to develop a curse, likely by having jobs take him into Cursehaven near close vicinity to Githian. His curse formed and he was forced to move into the town. Even with all these things adding up, there's still more supporting this evidence, and that's Eleanor. the oldest citizen on Xylorgos, having been there day one along with Vincent and the rest of the Doll Expedition crew to discover the planet. Eleanor has been in the presence of Githian more than anyone, and what does she look like in modern day? She's morphed. She's changing. Her once human body has begun to form tentacles. She didn't transplant her legs and replace them with octopus tentacles. The radiation of Githian began to change her into a monster. The same radiation that turned whatever Githian was before this into that. It is the exact same radiation that is turning Eleanor into it as well. And I think that's the key thing. I think this radiation is specific to each vault. The radiation of Githian was specific to the curses and the tentacle transformations. I don't believe the town of Vestige would have been inflicted with curses if exposed long enough. Jury's still out on that because they have the severed head of the Ruiner in the town now. So probably even more radiation. But I don't know what it would have been, but I think it's unique per vault, thus why the vault monsters are all different. Each vault gives off its own unique radiation. And to my latest discovery, somehow, I reread through Tannis's personal logs she keeps alongside the vault keys, and wouldn't you know it, she's fully aware of the radiation. You see, it turns out that Tannis had been collecting hair and skin and the sort of the various new individuals she met in the small chance one of them were to become a siren. And wouldn't you know it, Ava was on that list. She had collected a sample of her before she inherited Maya's abilities, and thus she wanted to experiment on how her sample reacts with the vault key and its radiation. She unfortunately doesn't log what happened. But anyway, yes, this has been in the game since literally day one, along with her statement about the vault monsters, and I only kinda briefly skimmed through all of these messages once back then. But one thing is for certain, the vault monsters and even the vault key emit radiation. I honestly never expected such simple and passive dialogue from Tannis simply floating the idea that the vault monsters weren't always vault monsters would have blossomed into what I think may be the actual truth and reality behind the vault monsters. I don't know if it was meant to be obvious that the vaults and the monsters within are radioactive. Looking at everything, it definitely seems to point that way, or if it was the fact that I was just oblivious. Did fans immediately pick up on this whole radiation thing, or is this more of a scientific discovery? Honestly, I want to know all of your guys' opinions on this down in the comments. Do you think this is the truth about the vault monsters? That the radiation they give off is a side effect of being exposed to Iridian radiation, turning them into monsters? Or do you have any other ideas? Any and all thoughts, be sure to let me know in the comments below, and until next time, I'll see you in the next video.